And we're here with our last video directions for the Legacy Project Part 2. We have a direction sheet that is found right here on this homepage. It will be pushed out to you on Google Classroom tonight or tomorrow morning. So everything you're going to see in the slideshow is a piece of that document. We just screenshotted it to talk about it in individual pieces. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Medve, who's going to talk about the overview of the project, and we'll go from there.
Hey everybody, so the purpose of this project is for you to document what you're living through right now, which is history. We're all living through this 2020 pandemic together, and we want you to have a chance to document that in a way that you'll be able to look back on and remember what it was like to live through this. We want you to think about and reflect on what it's been like for you personally, but also for your family and our society and community, and then also what things are going to be like moving forward into the future. So the next slide, which you'll see in a moment, is going to break those things down into categories. And we have some suggested questions for you to think about in your reflection. You do not have to answer every single question that you're going to see listed, nor do you have to give a written response for each of those questions. What you do have to do is somehow incorporate each of the categories on the next slide into your final project. So you can do that by creating separate products for each category, or you can create one final product that encompasses all of the categories. And Mrs. Vitek is going to talk about what those categories are now.
Okay, so these are the 4 categories, the different ways that this has impacted all of us. And the first is personal, meaning how has the pandemic affected you personally? So like your first question there suggests thinking about what it was like the day that schools closed. If you remember when the governor made that announcement, you could reflect on what did that feel like? Did you think that it was going to be quick and we'd be right back? Did you imagine that this would last as long as it has? Were you excited about a long spring break? Were you scared? Kind of what were your feelings about that? And then as the weeks have gone on, how has that changed? Have you found anything positive in this distance learning? What have been the challenges that you have faced being at home? All of those different things are fair game to talk about. How do you personally feel about what you're living through right now? The second category is family, so it's really an extension of the first, but think not just how has it affected you on your own, but your whole family life. Maybe lots of you are stuck home with only your family right now, and no extended family, no friends. Maybe some of you, your parents are still going into work and you're staying home on your own or taking care of siblings. What are those different ways that it has impacted your family? What's that been like? Then the next is your society and your community. So you can think about Beechwood as a whole. What do you think about your city, about your classmates, about the school, the different aspects that have been affected by those closest around you? And then you can see that the categories just keep zooming out, right? So that last one is the biggest category, the most general. What about the world as a whole? What do you predict maybe this is going to look like? What are you already noticing about how things change? Things like people wearing masks, people not going inside restaurants, all those kinds of things. And then how do you think that will look a few weeks from now, a few months from now, a few years from now? So you start with yourself and then you sort of zoom out to talk about what have the impacts been and what do you think they might be?
So that takes us to our presentation options, and we tried to leave this as open as possible. So there's not really a lot here on the slide, but we're going to talk a couple minutes about this. The most important thing is whether you choose to do 4 projects. Let's say you did a some more on personal, or you did a diary on personal. You wrote about how your life has changed. For your family, you did a some more with photographs of you guys playing games, or maybe you, whatever you chose to do. Maybe you took a lot of family walks. Maybe you have photographs from those that would go into a some more. Maybe the third piece you might do is a little video. It can be individual pieces that all 4 are responded to, or it could be one massive undertaking. Maybe it's a video that you divide into 4 parts, kind of like your documentary, the life of you in this sense. The key is that you have to put these somewhere we can get access to. So you've got to go into the blog you posted on what was 7th grade like, the reflection part. And you're going to add this to that same blog post. We're not making a new blog post. The teachers are going to have access to that particular link starting tomorrow afternoon. They'll have access to that link and they're going to go there to see the projects you produce. So I know, and it says here the delivery option is really up to you. Some kids might want to make a website, a Google site, and build 4 pages and kind of tell the story that way. Some of you may be artists and you want to draw. You want to draw pictures that represent how your life has changed or what you think is going to happen. I've got students that I've seen that there's at least a couple of you that I know that are really into photography. Some of you are doing birds, and some of you are doing your community. Maybe you do a photo documentary of how life has changed. It really comes down to what do you want to do to kind of record this moment in history. And that can be done through handwriting. It can be done through an interview with your parents. Maybe you sit down and record an interview. These are all open. And I think here we just wanted, is there anybody else that had an idea that maybe they wanted to throw out and just we can talk about briefly? Yeah, go.
So I was just even wondering when I go through here, I mean, we purposely left this open so that you guys could have all kinds of options to do things. We didn't want to narrow it down. So, like, for instance, what if Mr. Holman, would it be okay if, like, for one of those categories, maybe someone's into to poetry, like to write poetry about their emotions at a certain time? Would that be an option that they'd be able to do?
Absolutely. I mean, use your skill if that's what you're good at. If you're good at art, if you want to write in music, if you want to make a song. There's artists out there. Maybe you make a song about this time. One of the categories is a song you play and you present. There are all kinds of ways you can do it. And I don't know if anybody else has any ideas, but there's so many technologies out there. We just have to have access to see it. It doesn't matter how you present it. It's how we can go to see it. So I don't know, like Ms. Vitek, have you used anything? Like I know some past you used, I can't remember the stuff, but have you used any technology stuff maybe they wouldn't think of to use? Or Kelly or Elise or Amy, anybody? I'm sorry, I should use your last names, I guess, in that.
I'm blanking on the one that I really like that helps you make like graphic novel cells.
Storyboard that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I like storyboard that. I think they maybe could do something cool on that.
Storyboard that. You mentioned infographics. There's all kinds of infographics out there where they could build infographics that they want to show, and again, they can take pictures of their family, their workspace, pictures of things in your daily life. How's your life changed, right? Clearly I'm not sitting at a desk in a classroom anymore. I've got a little office here and, I would have a picture of this. This is where I spend my time now. This is where I'm trying to help you guys. So whatever makes sense for you to kind of share that information can be done. If there are any questions, you can email any of us with like, can I do this? Can I do that? For the most part, we're going to say, yes, you can do it. We want you to do what makes sense for you to look back on in 15 years and say, this is kind of cool. So it's really up to you. And I think that probably anybody else comment there, or we're good to go.
I just want to encourage you guys too, is that one of the reasons we're leaving this wide open and why if you think of something else, we would more than likely say yes to it as long as you can just share it with us, is because it's not even just what's going to be personal for you, but we want you guys to be passionate about what it is that you're going to build. And so whatever motive or whatever product that you use to finally create this thing, like make it something that you enjoy doing too, because this is hopefully something that is going to come out that, like Mr. Holman said, you guys and the other teachers, that you'll come back to years from now to really kind of get back into this sense of what it was like at this time.
Yeah, you're living history, and 50 years from now, people will study this time period and say, what happened? What did they do in digital learning? What was it like when you couldn't get your hair cut, when you couldn't do these things? People are going to want to know. And you're living through this time period, so document it as best you can what life is like right now for you. That takes.
All right, so we're the timeline for completion. Mr. Kulbago is going to talk about this.
All right, hi. I'm going to go through a timeline that we set up for you guys. Since this is really the only assignment you are getting this week, we want you to take your time on this, really think through everything you're doing. So on Monday, I would first suggest just start thinking about the project. Start making a plan and how you want to present your project. So what options you want to choose from those that were just discussed, and how you want to set everything up. We've also provided a bunch of resources that we'll show you next. Take Monday to go through those resources, read through them. You don't have to use them all, but at least look at them and see what we've given you to get some ideas. Also be helpful to talk to your family. So talk to your family about the project, since that's one of the categories. That's not a bad idea to start with. Then Tuesday through Friday, we left this a little open. Each day you'll want to pick a category. So just choose one category a day, so either personal or family or society, and spend at least an hour and a half each day on that category. And then by the weekend, you'll want to make sure that your whole project is complete. So you'll want to review everything, proofread, and then you're going to post it to your social studies blog. So you're going to add it to your legacy project for part 1. So this is your timeline. Try to stick to it the best that you can, because, again, we really want you to make this meaningful. So take your time on it and try to follow this. All right, you can go on to the next slide.
So, as Mrs. Kulbago just mentioned earlier, we have some resources for you guys, and just kind of like the questions up at the top. These are not things that you have to use. These were just from some of the different subject areas, some resources that we came up with that might help get you thinking about certain things if you're not 100% sure of what to put in on some of those categories, or maybe you have some stuff that you're like, I need to get something more. There's all kinds of different resources here per the subject area that can get you really thinking about some of these things. Specifically, like the math one, there's all kinds of really interesting graphs and infographics going through about all kinds of different statistics in terms of not just the coronavirus itself, but how it's affected society. So, like it talked about some of the things that are going to cost more money, some of the things that are going to be cheaper, how much gas we're using, like all these certain things that have changed because of our new normal that we're in. There's all kinds of resources in there for that as well. So again, this is something like Mr. Kulbago said on Monday would be a good idea to maybe flip through, read through some of the things. And if there's something that kind of catches your interest that would be kind of cool to put into my project, maybe bookmark it or put something in there so that you remember to come back to it and use that for part of your project.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, guys. So this last piece is just our rubric that we came up with. This is just for you to get an idea of if you're questioning what exactly do I need to include and what will I be looking for when the teachers grade the assignment. So, of course, the first category is just their basic directions of, did you cover all 4 different categories that we provided for you? And then the rest of it is understanding of content, which is going to be, are your ideas, are you being clear in your ideas, and you are being thoughtful. The next is wow factor. This is the part of the creativity that we'd like to see with you, that you put into your projects. And then overall effectiveness and completion score is the last category. So as you can see, we have a wide range of a scale there. So just take a look at that as you are going through your project and before you finish your project, and kind of grade yourself on these categories before you turn it in. And Mr. Holman, would you like to finish this off?
Yeah. So again, you're going to, when you are completely finished, whether it be 4 separate projects or 1 project, you're going to put it on the blog post that you've already started with your reflection on 7th grade. That way teachers can see both pieces in the same place. If you have any questions, we're all going to be available in normal office hours. So everybody's available. You can always email. We can meet privately if you have questions, if you can't make office hours for some strange reason. But I think Mr. Ristau made a comment that I think is really important, and that's that idea of this is it. This is 7th grade. This is the last thing you're doing. And there's no other work this week. So you have your entire focus on this. Find your passion and build with that in mind, because you should have fun with this, but you should also be building something that is a time capsule for you. It's something you can go back to in 20 years or 10 years, or maybe dare I say, when you have your own kids, to show them this is what it was like. And you'll be glad you have that. I think when we if we don't do those things, we always regret we didn't do it, that we didn't have the artifacts, the details of that time period in our life. So, take your time, do a great project, and we're looking forward to seeing them. So I think that's it. If anybody has anything else to say. All right, well, we will.
Looking forward to seeing the projects and seeing what you guys come up with.
All right, well, thank you, and we will see you hopefully in office hours.